this lecture, I'm going to show you comments and etiquette with regards to comments. Now, what I mean by etiquette is basically manners. So you've got this very powerful facility in Microsoft Excel. The ability to comment cells can fundamentally change the way you look at a workbook and a worksheet in that workbook. So I've just got a couple of tips which I'm going to pass on from my own experience about comments and how you should use them. So the first tip is do not type in capitals, since it makes it very hard to read. Remember, just like in emails, if you type in capitals, it makes it very hard to read, and it can also seem like you're shouting at the person. Now just remember, if you've got a spreadsheet with a lot of comments and they're all in capitals, you're not going to please the end user, whether it's your manager, your colleague, or your clients. So don't type in capitals, since it makes it very difficult to read your spreadsheet. The second tip is do not change the font, and if you do, make sure it's readable. So in this case, I've changed the latter part of this sentence to another font, which, although it may look cool, is actually extremely unreadable and would frustrate the user if they were to read comments in this font size and type. The next tip is to make sure that when you're commenting data, that your comments should be insightful into the data and not just recite the figure. For example, if we had this number 56%, let's just say in a simulated environment, this 56% was attributed to computer systems upgrade, resulting in loss of service during installation. Now this sentence is very meaningful because it's clearly explaining the 56%, how it was obtained. Now what would not be meaningful would be, for example, 56% was bad. If you commented that in a cell and user was reading that spreadsheet, that comment would not tell them anything about the figure. So always, always, always make sure that your comments provide some additional insight into your data. Okay, so the next tip, and this is quite blatant, is do not use sharp colours for your comments. For example, I've used purple here, and as you can see, it's very out there in terms of if you had a lot of comments in this colour, you'd probably get the user shutting down your spreadsheet. Okay, so the next tip after that is to resize comments where possible to make reading easier. The previous lectures have covered this in detail, and I strongly recommend you use the macros provided to resize your comments on your spreadsheets and in your future spreadsheets as well. Now the next tip is to think twice before changing the font color. Basically, I recommend stick to black and adjust your comment cell color accordingly. The last tip is avoid textures, patterns, and pictures. As you can see, I have added a texture, and all it does is just make this comment extremely difficult to read. So that concludes this lecture. I've overviewed some of the tips I've learned over the years about using comments. Any questions or queries, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for listening and watching.